And Chad,
I've had streaming issues, so I don't know if this is. It's coming back in as William Jones again. All right, we're live in the group. I'm going to set this up to record.
Patrick, hold on, Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm under my account. I don't know why I keep showing his name.
He's infected. He's hacked into your account.
Oh,
I don't know if you watched the William Jones training on Zoom hacking.
no. Oh, let's see. Okay, here we go. Alfredo Delgado, because I am in my account. Is that better? Okay,
Yeah.
now you can start.
That's his picture on there. Okay, cool. All right, I will record it now. And I'll tag people I'll tag everyone in the group. So I'm gonna let Joran, who for those of you guys who have not met Joran, just a little background. Joran and I met when I was working as a software engineer. Joran was working as a customer service department. Was that your title? Customer support?
I think so. Some weird arbitrary title.
So he was handling the support calls for the software company that I used to work for. We were a competitor with kind of like with LegalZoom. And so we met through there, and then Joran went on the ride with me through our agency and starting the software. And now Joran is kind of like the head of support for our agency. So he knows the product really, really well. And Alfredo Sauce here is going to be joining to tag team on things. So Joran has been here since the beginning of the product, and he handles the support on a daily basis. Alfredo has been a longtime user of the product. So together, I think they've got a really good exposure to this. And I'm gonna jump off the call and let them handle this stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this session. So kind of like walkthroughs, anything you're struggling with, anything related to tech, feature requests, all those things are all welcome here related to LeadSnap. So thank you guys for joining. And Joran, Alfredo, I'm gonna turn it over to you guys, and whatever questions you guys have, these two guys will be able to knock it out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So yeah, I think the way I wanted to start this out is just have you guys post your questions in the Zoom chat, or if you're on the Facebook. I'm also looking at the Facebook, so you can post any questions you have on the Facebook. I was going to start out with just one of a really popular question that I get, and hopefully it is helpful for you guys. Got Greg coming in. So we'll start with that while you guys post your questions. Let me make sure I have the chat open. Got Michael coming in. Cool. Let me figure out how to get this. There we go. What's up, Greg? How are you? Currently muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
There
can.
you go.
How you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. Cool. So I was just telling everyone before you joined, I don't know if you heard or not, if you have any questions on how to use the software or different things that you wanted to have learn how to set up, just go ahead and post that into the Zoom chat or on the Facebook chat. But for now, we're going to go ahead and talk about some questions that I get really often. So it is going to be, can my business owners get the text messages that come into my tracking numbers? And the answer to that is yes, they absolutely can. But there is just a little bit of setup that you have to do beforehand. So by default, anytime someone texts one of your tracking numbers, it is going to be in the texting area of your account. But if you wanted to go to their phone, it's actually really easy to set up. And we're just going to kind of go through and do a quick example of this. So if we click New Automation, and we'll just go ahead and start from a blank one, we actually have a trigger in here for when a new text message comes in. And if you leave this blank, it's going to apply to all companies that you have in your account. So you'll probably just want to go ahead and add a filter and set an automation up for each company. Then we can add another SMS text to go out. And in that, we're just going to move over the message field. So this message field works for whether it's the message on your form submission, but it's also connected to the message that comes in from a text message. If you want to forward this to a business owner, you can do it this way. Additionally, you can move in the phone number field, which then will be hyperlinked so that your client can click on it and message them back, which is really important because they do need to message them in a new thread. You cannot message directly back because this will be coming sent to them from the tracking number. So does that make sense for everybody? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting a head nod, thumbs up. Awesome. And then
Vladimir, Vlad had a question. I don't know if it's in the same area, but email embedment forms.
yeah, let me pull up that. I think I
I
need
can
to.
elaborate a little on that. So when I
was it?
use I can elaborate a little on that
Oh, okay.
question. So I know how to use that embedded code, fine. But once I use it, this site becomes much slower. But I can basically I don't really need to use it, but the only reason I use that form is just to avoid the spam calls, spam messages. Is there any way not to use embedded code and at the same time prevent from all the spam emails coming through?
Yeah. What is your website's built on, Vadim?
WordPress.
Okay. So you don't have to use the embedded forms when if you're using WordPress, you don't have to use those. So we actually have this integration with WordPress where all you have to do is install this our plugin. So the plugin is just called LeadSnap. If you look it up on the plugin store, install the plugin and then go ahead and generate an API key for your company. So right here, you can see we already have them generated. You're going to copy this key and put it into the WordPress plugin on your site. And that's going to automatically connect all of your forms to the system. And when using the WordPress plugin, you'll still be able to take advantage of those spam filters. So you don't have to only use the embedded forms to do that. There is one thing that additionally you'll have to do though, is make sure that your forms, once they're connected via the API, just make sure that your message field is mapped correctly to the message field on your site. And if you come into the account, you'll see under the settings, there is this button right here for check field for spam, and make sure that's enabled as well. So as long as
maybe that's the reason, because I did use that plugin, but it did not prevent me from getting the spam. Perhaps I didn't have that check mark enabled.
It definitely could be. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions, Vadim?
No, I think not. Yeah, well, I'm not on LeadSnap. I'm on Lead Generated. At one point, LeadSnap did not work. The plugin did not work. So I'm using the Lead Generated plugin.
Right.
I still use that one because that one is not being updated, right?
No, it is. It is. It's being updated the same as the LeadSnap one. We had an issue recently where it was removed from the WordPress site. We had to revalidate it and get it back up there, but it is up now and you can download it and use it just the same way.
So I can find the Lead Generated.
Lead Generated. Yep.
Okay,
that's correct.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Cool. Anyone else have any questions? Greg, Craig, Dean, Michael, Chad, anyone on here? You guys ever struggle with anything in the system or have anything that you want to be able to set up more efficiently or effectively? Go ahead and unmute and speak your piece.
Hey, Jordan, can you go over, once we move over the GMBs over to the LeadSnap, I know on there it'll have like to assign it to somebody, or as far as being able to answer Q&As, being able to post from there, do we need to attach it to a company or to attach it to a contact on there?
Yeah, I can go over that. Can you see my screen again? For some reason I have to, oh, never mind. I see the chat up here. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll go over that. So after you integrate one of your GMBs, I know what you're talking about with the attached company right here.
Right.
So you don't actually have to attach any company to your GMBs necessarily. This is mostly for organizational purposes, especially for when it comes to things like the heat map. So if you wanted to make sure, like if you're running heat maps for your GMBs, you can see all these say no company assigned. So it's going to be hard, especially if you want to sort by company, then it's not going to know what to do. You see, it just comes out blank. So having your GMBs associated to a company just helps with organizational stuff. When it comes to actually like the functionality that you get within the GMB, it's not going to affect that at all. You can still do everything from replying to the reviews, questions, your posts, or anything like that. So does that answer your question, Alfredo?
Yeah, so how did you get to this section here? Because your screen, it's zoomed in.
Right
Or
here?
is it just me? Yeah, is it just me?
I don't know. What was it doing?
So no, like when you go, like if I want to answer Q&As to one of the GMBs,
Mhm.
where do I go?
Oh, okay. So I'm in under Google and then GMB locations. And on the right side, you'll see where it says view.
Got it.
So this is where you're going to edit your entire GMB, whether it's images, hours, business description, adding services, and then you have the reviews and the questions and answers up here at the top.
Okay.
And you can also set up your notifications. So if we go to settings and then go to GMB, we can set up specific notifications where if a review comes in or someone leaves a question or a status change, the status change is going to mean like whether it is suspended or pending, then you can get a notification for those sent out.
Got it. And this can be set up on the white label site, so they log in and can do replies.
Absolutely. Are you talking about like your clients doing the replies?
No, also both sides, both sides.
What do you mean? So you or your clients?
Yeah, so like this is on the white label side, right?
Right.
We can do the white labeling and give them access to this, to answer, to reply,
Yeah.
to post.
Yes, you can. Just make sure that if you are giving your clients access to the GMB, especially if it's a lead gen GMB and not their own, you want to make sure you set up a custom user role for them. Whether it's in the white label or not, that doesn't really matter. All the permissions are going to be the same. So I would set up a user role just like this. And you can see underneath the GMB management area, we can give them very granular access to certain things. So if they want to be able to view the edit or the media only, but you don't want them to be able to create or delete it, then you can change all of this stuff. You can see there's questions, and then you can give them access to reply to those questions. Same with the reviews, but you don't really want them to mess with any of the other stuff on your GMB because they could get it suspended pretty easily.
Okay. And then let's see, Vlad had a question here. I don't know if you hear. What does this option mean? Prevent voicemails and automation systems from answering a call. Is
Okay.
that in the flow?
So yeah, good question, Vadim. Let me go ahead and answer that. So the prevent voicemails button is in the call flow. If we go to call flows, basically what that button does is when it's enabled, it will no longer go to your client's voicemail, but be automatically directed to whatever voicemail is in your call flow. If we go to edit and we have a voicemail setup right here, if we do not have this on, then it's going to go to the client's voicemail. They're going to answer it. They're going to get the voicemail on their phone. If we do turn this on, then when the client's voicemail actually answers, the system detects it and automatically sends it to this one instead. There is one thing to note though, that when you do have this on, it will require your client or whoever is receiving this call to press 1 to answer the call. So that is just one thing to keep in mind there. That answer your question?
That's where that comes from.
Yeah, the
Okay.
press 1, and it's on the client side. Like if you want the press 1 on the caller side, so you want the caller to press 1 to connect the call, you would use a menu step. But then the prevent voicemails button is what requires your client to actually press it to receive the call.
Did everybody
Okay,
get
got it.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's two different press ones. There's the client side and then the R side, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so the our side is what we would use with the menu step to actually weed out a lot of spam, because when you get a lot of robocallers calling your tracking numbers, you can use that so that they don't know how to press one. But then yeah, I've had some people come to me and say, hey, my client is now having to press one to answer the call, and I don't really want that. Why is that happening? It's this button right here, so you'll just have to turn it off, but then it is going to go to your client's voicemail.
Mm.
Cool. Anything else from you guys? Chad, I noticed you were unmuted earlier. Did you have something that you wanted to add on or ask about that?
Not about that specific. I was just curious, like when more features might come for GMB management through, if you have any insight there.
Yeah. Were you on when was that shown on the call? I believe it was.
The last two mentioned it a little bit. Chad was not. He wasn't on there.
Oh, okay.
I went back and watched the recording.
Oh, you did. So you saw like the new mock-ups of the GMB, like the rank tracking and all that stuff.
Yes. And
Okay.
I just know we're not always able to do updates from there and have to go in and update, from the GMB itself.
What kind of updates are you talking about?
I don't know. My guy that does the updates for me was just saying he had to go to the GMB, so I don't have those specifics in front of me.
Okay. I know recently there was, we didn't have the ability to add services. So this is kind of fairly new. I think it is at least a few weeks old at this point, though. We have the ability to add the services. And so I think the only one that is currently outstanding would be products. If you're using a GMB that actually sells physical products, that could be something that is preventing you from being able to do that. But other than that, you should have full access to be able to edit everything on the GMB.
Okay. I'll make sure he gives me notes next time.
Yeah, if you have any specifics, if there's something that we're missing, that would definitely be helpful to know. But as of right now, I'm pretty sure that there is everything, you can edit everything besides those products.
Okay.
Now, Jordan, when we post or when we do Q&A, answer the Q&A questions, how long does it take to get from LeadSnap to the GMB live out there where we can see it outside of LeadSnap?
Yeah, there's no downtime on that. But the only way that maybe it wouldn't show right away is if it goes into an approval process with Google. Like sometimes if you leave a review on one of your GMBs, and it shows on your side, but then you go to the GMB and it doesn't show up. So that could definitely happen, but from our system to Google is immediate. There's no downtime on that. It's just on, if Google wants to post it, they have some kind of review process to make sure it's legit. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Because I know that came up. I think Rafael's on the call, but he had he got on his VA because she didn't do the Q&A because he couldn't see it. But when he uses lead gen, she did actually answer it. So it was like a little lag time.
Yeah, could be because of that. You said Rafael is on the call or is not on the call? I don't see.
No, I think he
Okay.
has another call. He couldn't make it to this one.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, I think we've answered most of the questions so far, but we haven't been on this call too long. So I want to give you guys more of a chance to shoot some questions. Craig, are you trying to talk to us or are you on the phone? He's on the phone. All right. Alfredo, you got anything else?
No, I just wanted to shoot the invite to everybody here, not only like how-tos like we're doing now, but like if you guys have like how to apply some of this stuff, how to use it to for prospecting. I know we do some of that on our Wednesday calls, but I wanted to be more like hands-on, how to, this is what this looks like, this is where this is. Also for the prospecting side, like, how to do certain things for the client to help get more clients to scale your business through LeadSnap, and, be an enhancement, to our, weekly calls. Jordan's a genius as far as this, and I used to love these tech, how-to calls. But if you have like a tech how-to also prospect, this is where you go do this, this is where you go do that. And I know with these updates that are coming in the pipeline, I think sooner than later, right, Jordan? As far as the facelift that we're about to get, we're really going to be able to use that as a good like prospecting tools to really leverage LeadSnap for prospecting and winning clients over.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about the new GMB rank tracking facelift.
Yeah. Just the whole LeadSnap itself, the menu, in the dashboard itself, the compare tool in itself, all that's coming up. The last two calls talked about it. So
Yeah, that's
you
what
know,
really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alfredo.
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
No,
please.
that's what
Alex,
I
go for it.
really. Yeah, that's really what I'm excited about there. Is that these last two calls kind of just. I didn't know what this call was. I seen it popped up on my phone. Like I thought it was called tomorrow, so it kind of caught me off guard on this. But no, this is good. We're having this conversation. I was working on a few other things, but yeah, being able to, and we've had a lot of the training and stuff, and a lot of stuff gets buried within. There's a lot of, the good side of the LeadSnap is there's a lot of training, and the bad side there's a lot of training. So it's kind of hard sometimes to navigate and find out what you want. But I think the key is what Alfredo said right there. And that's what got excited me about the last two calls is being able to use some of these new features, actually do the prospecting. The more we get in our pipeline and the better that we can actually use this tool to, because I mean, that's how I got, my clients now was way back whenever just showing the heat map. And if you can have a a constant little show and being able to, really show the client what's going on with their Google Business Profile, that's the game changer. That's what it was for me, because this guy come in, and I know all you guys heard the story. I'm sure you all experienced it. They've been slammed by 100 other different marketers and made all these promises. So, for the first 30 minutes, the guy was like this right here, nah. And actually, my business coach actually brought him in. So this guy was really gun shy. But when I showed him the heat map, and actually kind of didn't get too technical with it, but just kind of show him where he was at and what's going on. That's when the light bulb goes off. And I love it when because I do a Zoom call, and I love it when I see the light bulbs go off in their head. You see that transition. I've been in sales for a long time, and whenever you hit that right phrase, when people get it. So by having these new, and I think it was 2 weeks ago when Patrick kind of spilled the beans on a little bit, that really kind of pumped me up and get excited. So if we keep it going, like what Alfredo's talking about right here is, doing some more how-to prospecting and how to actually, we've got this whole Snap-on truck over here, But I think my problem is, I'm not speaking for anybody, but my problem is like, dang, I don't even know what kind of tools I got over here in the drawer. Like, well, you know what I mean? Like I got a whole truck, I got a $200,000 worth of tools over here in this truck, but I don't know exactly how to apply them and what's rich to get. The whole thing is if the car is broke over, you don't need all those tools to do it. It may take only one special tool, one special screwdriver, one special wrench to go in there and tweak that. You don't need all the tools. So the better that we understand and more we connect and talk to each other and show actually how to prospect or actually how to close with these tools and stuff like that. For me, that's a big win.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying about the heat map thing, putting the light bulb on. I was actually just talking to a client the other day, I think it was last Friday. And she was talking about, how they were ranking, and their GMB is set up for a very generic term, right? It's like they don't really understand the whole SEO part of it. And she was like, yeah, we're ranking super well, so I don't think we need to do any sort of like SEO or anything. And I was like, well, where are you searching yourselves from? And they're like, right here, like we're sitting in their office. So I'm like, I was like, all right, let's pull this up. And so I was able to show her the heat map, and instantly she was just like, right down the street, they're already ninth. And so now she understood, okay, just because we were searching at our business, that doesn't mean anything. So So
You
yeah,
better be number one if you're in your
I
parking lot.
know. If you're not number one from your office location, then there's a problem. And that does happen. We've seen plenty of heat maps that are all 20s. So yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of cool ways. Jeff would definitely be, maybe we could bring Jeff in sometime to talk about the actual prospecting with the heat map, since he does all of our sales for the agency. But well, yeah, but thank you for sharing that. Greg, I don't know, is there anything like specifically that you struggle with, maybe like tools in the tool shed here that kind of exists, but you haven't really explored much because you're not really
No,
sure
I'm
where to
just
start?
no. I mean, I know the
I-
basics. I know the
I
basics
have
of it. Go ahead.
I have one, Jordan. So, is there a way to, for example, Chad actually tipped me off to this as far as the 13 by 13. Like, I don't do anything else but the 13 by 13 now, right? And then depending on where I'm at with the client, I'll do a 3, a 6, and a 9 radius. But is there a way to save that preset? Not so much for the location or for the GMB, just in general. If I put the GMB and the keyword, that my 13 by 13 for that GMB for that area pops up.
Um,
You know how it has it on in the save grid or save
the configuration.
yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're talking about would be the grid, is it not?
Well, see, I tried that and I tried to save it and then I popped it up on the drop down menu,
Mhm.
but it attached it to that previous GMB instead
Right.
of just a 13 by 13 general and attach it to the GMB that's above, not
So
to the previous one.
yeah, exactly. I think what I can do here is let's see if I select a new save grid. I see what you mean now. I think go ahead and zoom out. I think the only thing that you have to do is select your GMB first and then go to the save grids. And let's choose something like, I don't know, San Diego. It's still going to keep my GMB that I want to use and use that saved grid. So it's not like it's directly connected with the GMB. The configuration would save it with the GMB in there, but the grid only saves the points on the map, and you can use whatever GMB you want for that grid.
See, but that puts it to San Diego. All I want is the bubbles being saved to the GMB above.
Okay, but I guess that kind of makes sense. Maybe I'm not fully understanding your question, but if you're using a 13 by 13 grid, it's always going to be the same shape. So if we select the,
So, for example, like that San Diego down there, right? If you change the GMB on top,
mhm,
where is it searching? Like, let's say that one, right? That's the new GMB. And you down at the bottom, you choose San Diego again, right?
okay, and saved grids.
Yep.
Okay.
You do that one. Is that going to take you to San Diego? Yeah, see,
Yes.
it takes you to San Diego. I
Right.
want to stay, where was it, in Quebec or whatever that GMB is, but I still want my 13 points. I just don't want it in San Diego. I want it where that GMBs are.
Right. So what I would do for that, I don't think that it would really make sense to save a configuration for a 13 by 13. Let me just go ahead and let me just reset this. So I'm not using a configuration or anything. If we were to choose a GMB, then we choose I always do 1 mile, and we select the 13 by 13. You can have your 13 by 13 wherever you want, and it's going to populate where the around the GMB, but you can also use the move map. So if I wanted to do this like
Yeah, that's another feature that I've utilized that's been super helpful.
okay.
Right there.
Yeah, so I think that's like something that you would want to do for your GMBs, because then you can still keep your 13 by 13 shape, move it anywhere that you want. If you're not trying to search directly around the GMB, or my favorite is just using the custom grid. I find or shape. I find that to just be the easiest when I'm doing any sort of heat map. I pretty much always use this.
Cool. Okay.
you have a lot of, do you normally use the custom shape Alfredo, or do you just use the,
If I'm next to the ocean, I will.
oh, okay. Yeah,
Just to
cut out
cut
the
that
ocean.
out. Yeah. Or like I've actually used it here in Vegas because there's a lot of hills and stuff right there, and I do exactly what you just did.
Right. Okay, cool.
Cool. Okay.
I wanted to just go over Michael's question just for a second. Michael, we don't really have any information or expected release date or anything on an answering service. I would actually have to talk with Patrick to get a little more information on that. So I'm sorry, I don't have an update for you on that one. For Vadim, looks like he sent a screenshot. Let me just check this out here of an automation. So let's see what he said. Okay. What would be the benefit of having status is equal versus just company is equal? Okay. So I see. So you have status is equal to answered and status is equal to missed on this automation. Basically, you don't really need those. There is a few different statuses though. I guess you would be filtering out abandoned. Like if you didn't want abandoned calls to trigger that automation, then that is the benefit to what you're doing. But if we look at this, so like if you have answered and you have missed, then you don't need to you really don't need to have those if you want it to trigger for all of them. You can only have the company. So normally you would have a status is equal to missed if you wanted to trigger an automation on missed calls. But once again, I guess it still does kind of make sense if you want to have answered and missed if you're trying to filter out any abandoned calls would be the only benefit to doing it the way that you have it there in that screenshot.
Okay, got it. Thanks for clarification.
You're welcome. Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to filter out abandoned calls, or did you just think you needed to include both of them for it to work?
Well, at one point, there was a recommendation to put it in there, so I put it in. And now I'm questioning, why would I need it? I just need to send all of the calls, whether it's a missed call or answered call. I need to send it to the client for it.
Okay. Yeah, in that
Those
case,
are-
you don't need those.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Go back to my screen here. I think that's everything that we got for now. We had someone, oh, Allah's in here. How you doing, Allah?
Hi, sorry, I'm just leaving work.
Oh, no worries. How are you?
You know, busy.
Yeah, cool. Good to hear. Well, it's good to see you on this call. We're currently going in over any LeadSnap things, like if you had questions on setting things up or different functionalities that we offer that maybe you're not sure how to use. So I don't know, is there anything like that that you wanted to bring up on this call?
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to you. Give me like 5 minutes. I'm just gonna sit in my car and think about it.
Not a problem. Okay, cool. So we'll wait for
Can you hear
Allah.
me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, sorry. Let me get in my car and then I have a few questions.
Okay, no worries. We will
Thank
wait on
you.
you. We got Alec joining us here too. Cool. Alfredo, anything that you wanted to go over? Oh, you're currently muted, Alfredo.
Yeah, I wanted to just get the team on here for that, like how to's. Jordan, as you guys can see, he's a beast when it comes to this stuff, really fluent with it. But so yeah, I wanted to like Adam said, know what's in our toolbox. That way we can be very skillful, get sharpened with that. To know how to do it. Basically, my goal was to leverage the tool to help us gain clients, to help us to grow with the client. So that's really the how-to tech side. What do I have in my toolbox? Because there's a lot of stuff, even myself, that I don't leverage like I should with LeadSnap, you know, and I wanted to sharpen my skills, my skill set with the tools. That way I can leverage always to benefit the customer so they become more sticky, to get more, to have more perceived value, to solve more problems for the client. And that was really how this was born, right? Just missing those tech calls, those how-tos, without having to bog Patrick down with it. So yeah, you guys feel free, like for this one, even for the following months that we come, you know, to really challenge Jordan on, you know, how-tos, and then like, okay, come like with questions to like, okay, I know we have this particular function of the tool. How do I leverage that for the
Yeah.
client for getting sales too?
I think moving forward, what we'll do on the following calls is come up with some certain things that maybe we suspect people aren't really utilizing as much as they should be,
Yeah.
and kind of do a deep dive in that. One of the things that I can think of right off the top of my head is probably the pipelines connected with automations. Alfredo, are you currently utilizing the pipelines for your agency?
I'm not.
Greg, are you utilizing? Okay. So I think that is one of the things that would be very beneficial for prospecting that a lot of our users are not using. I personally use the prospecting for, you know, when I do sales, and it just makes things a lot easier. You don't have to follow up with clients one at a time. And you can set specific scripts so you don't have to rewrite them every time. Basically, you can connect the pipelines with the automations in a way that whenever you move one card from one place to another, it's going to trigger out a text or an email to go out. So let's say that you had, you're building a new site in an area. Let's say it is, I don't know, Miami, and you went out and you found all of your competitors. There's maybe 15, 20 competitors in that area that you want to reach out to see if they want to buy your leads. And you put all of them into this first area. Now, what you can do, instead of having to go through and message each one of them one at a time, is just move everyone into the next stage. Okay, now this next stage is going to be this contacts stage, and everyone's going to get an email blasted out and a text message blasted out. And you know, you can do like a cold email campaign to your potential prospects that way, and see who gets back to you. Okay, now the people who actually got back to you, you can move them into the next stage and weed out the people who didn't get back to you and really follow up with these people. So that's just what I like to do. I don't know.
I got a question on that.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
So I've seen the pipeline. I've just totally forgotten about it again. Don't know the tools we got in here. So so what are we using for the email prospect? Is this built into it? Is this, or are we tying our email services into it?
It's going to be your personal emails. Whether it's Gmail or domain email, they're integrated under settings in the email area. So when you're sending out these emails, it's coming from the automation. So it's using your own email. We don't have like our own
Okay.
email service. Yep.
Okay. No, that's fine, because the whole thing is deliverability. And so I actually go through and warm up my emails and use a lot of different other services. So I want to, to me, that's a good thing, because that way we're not sharing IPs and people doing spammy stuff. Then that helps.
Right.
That blocks out messes up your deliverability. So
Exactly.
anyway.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but if you're using like your personal email, you may have like a higher deliverability than like a brand new fresh email, right?
Yeah.
And
Also,
also
you got cold sending emails, and then you got we call transactional emails, and then you got cold prospecting emails. So I've got emails specifically just for cold prospecting.
Oh, okay.
And that's separate from transactional emails. That way, if you burn through them, you got several different one of them. So, I mean, you try to do that. So I know we're getting kind of technical on it, but it's very, very sticky on that. And that's why I was asking that question. So if I could tie in my own emails into it, then that's great.
Yep, you can tie in all of your own emails. Greg, just so we all know and are a little more aware, because it sounds like you've done quite a bit of email prospecting. What is it that gets an account suspended? Is it just sending too many too fast to these prospects?
Yeah, a lot of it's is because people are getting shared IPs and shared hosting. So if all of us are on one different service over there, and we're all on a shared IP over there, if if I start sending a bunch of spammy stuff, then it's gonna start going to promotions and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
And two, yeah, sometimes it can be too much too fast. If it's a brand new one, it needs to be warmed up.
Yeah.
And
Or
it does
slow.
need to come from, you know, a business name, or better yet, a personal name if you're prospecting. It's just, and you know, it also too depends on your copy. If you know, if I'm going like, hey, Jordan, buy my stuff, and you never heard from them, it's going to go to promotions or stat. There's a lot of variables into it. So it's like any other business. You know, just be wise of what you're, be mindful of what you're sending and how often you're sending.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Any other questions on using the pipeline in conjunction with the automations? Okay, cool. Ala, did you think of some questions that you had on about LeadSnap? If you're still there? Ala G.
I'm here. I'm sorry, driving 90 miles an hour. Questions for email, text, and text. So what do you prefer in your opinion? So I have a high volume client in auto blast. And they get a lot of leads, whether or not they're, you know, whatever, like people call a lot. I think sending a text message is overwhelming to the clients as email too, because I would like to send them an email once a day with a list of their calls. Is that a possibility?
If you were doing that, yeah, there is a way you could do that, and it would be actually using the reporting. So with the reporting module, you can create a report that's going to go out. So let's create a new report. Basically, you would want to do it from the calls. I know you can't see my screen because you're driving, but you'll be able to watch the recording after. But yeah, you'd want to select the companies that are for, I think you said it was for auto glass, right? So yeah, you would select all those companies and create a report for all of those calls, and it's going to pull in all those calls in here. Then additionally, you would go back and you can just set the schedule to go out once per day. And then you can turn off all of the automations that are sending them right away as the calls come in. Because yeah, you're right, that could definitely be overwhelming. Just send them a report once per day, or you can even make it once per week. But if they want it once per day, that's fine. You can totally do that using the reporting module.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Cool. Alec Newmeyer, I saw you jump in here. How you doing, Alec? You still around here, Alec? You might have hopped off. All right. What's that, Alfredo?
No. I was saying maybe he's just listening in while he's doing other stuff.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
great questions, guys. Great questions.
During question, any way to generate reports, one report with form submissions and calls, or they have to be two separate reports?
That's a great question. So, yeah, a lot of the times, Vadim, are you familiar with the difference between the calls and the leads?
I think so.
So
Leads include everything, including calls and form submissions.
that's right. So if you have your calls added as leads, then when you're setting up your report, there is the option for choosing leads so that you don't have to have it separated out. As long as your calls are added as leads and you do it this way, then it'll generate the report with both the calls and the leads on there. Is that what you were asking, or did you want them to be
Yeah, no,
separated?
that's exactly
Okay.
what I'm asking, but I'm not getting this. Probably I'm doing something wrong.
Okay. Do
I
you have
to look into it.
are you manually adding your calls as leads right now, or do you have automations in place to automatically add them as leads?
I don't have any automation and I don't do it manually.
Okay, well then that's the problem. So there's no calls getting added as leads, which is going to keep them separated out in the all calls area. Here's what I recommend for you, Vadim. It's super easy to do. We're going to set up a new automation right now. We'll just start from a blank one.
Okay.
The trigger for this will be a new phone call. And you can actually leave the company filter off because we want this to apply system wide. And the only step that we need in here is qualify as a lead. So this automation right here would qualify all calls as a lead. If you don't want to do that and you want to add a little bit more specific filtering, you can. And that's when we would add like a call duration. We can have call is greater than or equal to 60 seconds or maybe 90 seconds. So now every call that comes into your account, doesn't matter what tracking number it came from, is going to be added as a lead. And then that will be included on your report with your form submissions.
But it can be done automatically.
Yep, it will. The calls being added as leads will be automated, and the report being generated with those calls will then be automated. So you won't have to touch anything. It's just kind of up to you on what you want the bar to be on what counts as a lead. Do you want it to be all calls? If so, just remove this filter. If you want it to be greater than a certain amount, just input whatever amount that you want it to be in there.
What about the duplicate calls?
The duplicate calls. So that's a good question too. Only one lead can be added. So if somebody calls one of your tracking numbers, let's say 10 times in a couple days, and that call is added as a lead, it will only be added once. It will only be added as one lead. And within the lead, you will actually see the call history. So you can see all the different times that they called, but it will only be added as a lead one time.
I see. Okay. And within the report, it's going to generate only one, or it's going to generate all 10?
It'll only generate the one. I believe, yeah, it would just generate the one lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I'll play around with it because I'm trying to systemize everything, and I tried to generate a few reports and it didn't produce me the desired results. So I have to play a little with it.
Okay. Yeah, and Vadim, if you ever want to hop on another call like we did before and go over this together, and maybe we can set up some reports together and make sure that everything is set up correctly, then we can always do that. Just use the live chat in your account, and we'll set up something. Okay.
Great. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, my friend.
Cool. So yeah, I think we're gonna start wrapping up this call a little bit. Alfredo, if you got anything else to add, I think if anybody has any questions right before we jump off, please post them now and we can go over them. Other than that, Alfredo, you and I are going to do some planning. We'll get together, we'll talk about some of these tools, we'll create some examples on how to prospect, and maybe we'll bring in Jeff on what are some of his sales techniques using these tools, so that we can give you guys a really good overview on different things to utilize.
Absolutely.
Cool. Right.
Any more questions from anybody? Thank you for showing up, guys. We appreciate you.
I think we're doing all
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome, Vadim. Thank you, Greg. All right, cool. All right, sounds good, guys. So I'm not seeing, let me just double check one more time. Okay, cool.
Yeah, nothing new.
Cool. So we're good then. We're gonna hop off this call. I know it was a little impromptu, but yeah, next time we'll come to Alfredo and I will come together with a game plan for you guys. So that's it. Vadim, just don't forget to message me so we can set up that call. I have time for it today if you do. And we'll go over some of those reports thing. Also, anybody else on this call, if you guys ever need help, just feel free to reach out on the live chat, and we've always got people available. We can hop on calls and help you get anything like that set up. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.